What's going on, everyone? ODC here, and I'm back to another action figure review. Today's review, we're going to take a look at the Mezco 112 Collective. This is Batman the Supreme Knight, and this is the Darkest Dawn edition. This is I believe, the Mezco exclusive one. This one's becoming a little bit more harder and harder to get for most people. I actually got lucky finding this one. And it was a local comic shop that actually had him for regular retail for what he went for the Mezco exclusive price. So I think he was about $100. And yeah, I'm starting to like these variants. I wanted this very specific one just because it kind of reminded me of that little bit of that Arkham fully armored Batman that you got if you completed, what was it, Arkham Asylum. It has that feel to it, certain aspects of it. Not all the aspects, obviously, but certain aspects of it do feel like that. But it does come in this packaging right here. And just to kind of touch on the packaging really quick, because you guys all know me, I don't really care about packaging too much. But with the Mezco stuff, I actually really dig what they do. It's very sleek, it's simplistic. With all the exclusives, like the PX exclusives get kind of like their own kind of packaging, and then the regular releases get a little bit larger of packaging, where the MDX versions and the Mezco exclusives get this smaller type packaging. So it's a little bit easier to ship, doesn't cost as much. I actually kind of would prefer this. Just simplify things, put it all in this smaller packaging. I just think it's a little bit nicer. But anyway, it says Supreme Knight. There's the side. Here's the back. This is actually an incorrect photo of this exclusive. This is actually the PX exclusive of the Supreme Knight, which I do have also, and we'll do comparisons between the two. But the PX and the Mezco exclusive, which is right here, the Darkest Dawn, is much different from each other. As you can see, he's got no knee pads right here, where he's got knee pads and all that jazz. So they just kind of stuck on a different photo there. I'm not sure what they were thinking with that, but there's the other side, and that's pretty much it. Everything else is contained inside the box, so let's just push this aside. We'll just kind of leave that to the side for now. We'll bring the figure back in. And this is what the figure comes with, comes like straight out of packaging. I've had this figure just for about, I want to say about 2 days now. Just been kind of playing around with it, kind of posing it, and it's a lot of fun. I actually really like it. And apparently a lot of people don't like all this armor paneling going throughout the body, and I actually really like it. I think this is a really nice touch that's not really done with too many of the other Batman figures, and him being more of like a veteran Batman at this stage of his career, I think it works for him. I really do. On the back here, we've got some, like, it almost looks like spinal column armoring going throughout. We do have the grapnel gun holster right there. That looks really cool. I don't know, with the Supreme Knight, with, I don't know, just all these Batman figures, the sculpting, where it is done, it's so just well done and well thought out. It just makes a lot of sense. Like, you would think a veteran, older Batman at this point, maybe like 50 into his 60s Batman, he's probably going to want a little bit more armor. He might be not as quick as he used to be, but he's definitely probably a lot stronger than he was. A little bit bulkier, a little bit more thick, a little bit more meat on the bones, which makes him a little bit more dense, harder to knock down, you know. Still quick enough, but, you know, not as quick as he was in his, you know, his 20s and such. The cape is I want to say a little bit of a different feel to it. It's definitely got its own kind of feel as far as some of the other capes go. All right, so as far as the capes go, like I said, each version of this, and I don't have the all blacked out one. These are what I have as far as the Supreme Knights go. This cape is a lot more shiny. This cape kind of looks a little bit more like it's like a leathery type material. And then the regular standard release looks like a little bit more of like a, I don't know, like a nylon almost. for the cape. I like all of them. They all have their different feels, their different tastes to them, and probably their different functions as far as even if you want to get real geeked out with it and think, you know, why would he use this material for this one, for this suit? Why would he use this material for this suit? You know, maybe each suit has kind of its own little, you know, function, little bit of attributes as far as each suit goes. You could go with that. You can go wild with it. I think it's a lot of fun to think about stuff like that. But just to kind of compare the capes, there they are. Now, just to kind of go through some more of the, I shouldn't say sculpting. It's not really sculpting, just more of the detail going throughout. I'm just going to pop his head off, which it is using the magnet ordeal, which I am just not a big fan of. I don't like magnets on figures, especially expensive figures, because the magnet over time does lose its polarity. I know you could use a very strong magnet and it might last a while, but eventually it's going to lose its polarity and it's going to not, it's just going to, pretty much the neck piece is going to want to just fall off, or you're going to have to replace this. And I just don't want to have to go through all that. So I would appreciate it, you know, if I'm spending $100 on a figure, to please include the peg. Just put a neck peg on there. It's better for longevity's sake. I know these are already Mezco figures, and you know, with cloth, these are going to deteriorate over time anyway. They're going to start peeling and stuff like that. It's just going to happen. The more you display it, the more you pose it, the more deterioration is going to happen with the figure. And that's kind of what you have to accept when you buy these figures. It's just going to happen unless you're some sort of seamstress. The bat logo is removable on this one. This is the Darkest Dawn edition. And as you can see, there's two magnets underneath the chest, which that's also going to cause issues too. And it has caused some issues with some collectors already. Mine's pretty smoothed out right here. I mean, you can see it a little bit, but it's not too bad. You do have magnets on the other side of each bat symbol, which we'll get to when we go through accessories. But I just kind of wanted to take a look at all the armor really quick. Just the chest armor looks really good. Very pleased with how that came out. The shoulder armor right here. And it's all just kind of printed on top of the cloth suit. But it does look like armor. So, and like I said, at this stage of his career, I think a lot more armor might benefit him a lot more. If he's falling off a building and he's 60 years old and he doesn't have armor on his suit, he's probably going to snap a leg, break a PCL, MCL, ACL, something like that, you know, break an arm, break a leg, break your back. And I think it makes sense for this whole back piece to have kind of some sort of spinal column armored portions on it. So it looks really cool. The belt is pretty much the same throughout all of the Supreme Knights. It is a little bit more of a mustardy color to it. And I'll just bring in the other. This is more of a, I want to say, of a gold color right here. Goldish, copperish kind of color. More like, I want to say, kind of copperish than this. But it's not as bright as maybe it's coming off on camera. It's more of like a mustardy yellow with a little bit of paint detail going throughout. And just to compare this, here's the regular release with that belt being all black there. And that still has some paint shading going throughout too. So it's pretty nice across the board with these figures as far as paint shading goes. Really like these the knee pads. The PX version does not have knee pads. So if you get the Supreme Knight PX, it's not going to have the knee pads, which was another reason why I really wanted to get the PX, just because it did not have those knee pads. It's a little bit of, like I said, variation, differentiation between each of these releases. They're not all just the exact same body you're buying. They might have different colors, they might have different paint apps, they might have different body suits, but there is some sort of differentiation between each, and I really, really like that. Slight variations make sense for a suit that's evolving, you know. And I like all the just simple paint detail for all the rivets in the knee pads and the boots. The knuckle dusters look really good. Very well done. And I love all this intricate kind of sculpting going throughout the gauntlet. You can tell if when he punches you with this fist, it's going to really hurt. It's probably going to knock you out in one punch. Like, if that's all Kevlar, or if you've ever like actually punched somebody, that looks like metal right there. I could see that really just breaking your jaw after one punch. And just, I don't even know how people would take multiple punches from these gauntlets. Whew, it'd be rough. You can see the blades have shortened on here, probably for efficiency's sake. You don't want to have your gauntlet blades being too long. You might end up getting him caught on something. Maybe he's been getting him caught on his cape over the years, and he's just like, you know what, I'll just shorten him. But it looks really cool. I'm very pleased with the sculpt that is there and the variation in the armored pieces. I actually really like this. That's why I pretty much wanted to pick this up. And I love the gray and black versions, and I like the blue and gray versions. I don't really discriminate between any of them. I kind of like them all. But, you know, if I do have to choose, I would probably go with gray and black if I had to choose. But I love me some blue and gray. I still think there's enough room for it to exist within the Batman realm. Blue also does work at night. So if you have a darker blue, which we have here, I think this could work at night. And I'm still kind of figuring out which head I want to use, but we'll get into that. And in the accessory department, I keep saying that, but actually, let me just pop this head off again, and we'll just pop that back on really quick, and we'll go through articulation. The head can swivel at a full 360 rotation. The head can look up, and I'm trying to keep the neck piece on there just because it's magnetized. The head can look up about that far, so if he's looking up at Bane or whoever, Clayface or whatever, I could do that. His head looks down. I'm just going to try and see how much further I can get that head up. And I think that's about it, yeah. The head can tilt side to side. Really good range of motion in that tilt side to side. And this is just kind of another reason why I just don't like magnets. You really have to hold this down every time you want to articulate the head. It wants to like move every time. Stop doing magnets in the neck. I just hate it. Anyway, he got some job. Turkey's up in here. So a little bit of the turkeys up in there. The arms go up about that far. They go down. They swivel back and forth. I'm trying to be gentle here just because I want something to rip. I know I shouldn't be saying that, and I should just go through the motions, but you know, this is a harder figure to get, and I don't want to mess something up. You know, that'd be just my luck. Something gets messed up. But anyway, bicep swivel. He does have a double jointed elbow, so we can get full extension right there. The gauntlet does get in the way a little bit of the articulation, so just to note that. He has a wrist swivel, and he does have a hinge joint which goes up and down, and I'm pretty sure if you swivel this hinge joint, you can get him to do left and right. I think it swivels that way. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe it doesn't. Well, it looks like it wants to. No, it does not. So just up and down. And then this one is also up and down as well. He does have an ab crunch in there. And that's about back and forth as much as you get. It's tilt side to side. He can swivel mostly at the diaphragm joint there. I'm trying to recenter the belt there. You can do the splits. I wouldn't push it here too much with this crotch piece being the way it is. If this suit wasn't on him, obviously he'd have better range of motion, but legs can go forward about that far, and they go back, and he's got upper thigh swivel. He does have a double jointed knee, and it's right there. There's the 2 clicks. He does have a boot swivel. He does have ankles that point, and they're a lot hindered more on the Supreme Knight than some of the other figures, but he can point the toe, points the heel. He does have ankle pivot a little bit, and this boot is really kind of getting in the way of that ankle pivot, but I mean, he doesn't have an issue standing, so I'm not too worried about it. But I mean, if you wanted to get him posed up, you could definitely get him into some sort of dynamic pose here if you need him to. He'll do the business. little bit better. But yeah, definitely the ankle pivot is kind of causing a issue with flattening out that foot. But I mean, he'll still sit and he'll hold that pose if you need him to, as you can see there. So he'll hold it, even though his foot's kind of doing the off the ground thing. It can still work. So there's that. So that's pretty much articulation, and he does have 2 peg holes at the bottom of his feet. He does also come with a display stand, which we'll get to as well. And let me just kind of set him all back up here. I'm going to leave the cape off just for a second, just because he does have a lot of accessories, and let's go into accessories right now. All right, so first up, he comes with a bunch of batarangs. He comes with 10 batarangs total, and he comes with 2 different versions. I'm not going to take these out just because I'm not going to really use them at this stage of things. So I'm just going to kind of, first I'm going to bring him up. I'm just going to kind of leave him in here. I will note this. I'm not a big fan of these shorter, fatter ones right here. I always liked the longer version of a batarang. I think it just makes more sense. When you try to throw this at someone, I feel like it's just going to flop on the ground. I don't know. Or it's not going to have the distance that these longer ones would. So I'm just never been a big fan of this look for a batarang. Ugh, I just think it looks ugly. But that's just me. So he does come with 10 of those batarangs. He comes with another batarang, which is kind of looks like a, and I'm sure a lot of people have said this, it looks like the kind of that 80 or the 92 Batman Returns kind of remote batarang, where it kind of smacked a bunch of people in the face and then returned to him. Or the dog actually jumped up and grabbed it, sorry. But it does remind me of something like that, or maybe like the remote batarang from the Arkham series, which was always a pain in the ass to kind of navigate, that stupid batarang. But I think it still looks pretty cool. It is rather large. Here it is sitting next to his gauntlet, and as you can see, it's rather large against the gauntlet. And then next up, we have this kind of, I don't know if this would be like a defensive weapon, offensive weapon, but a little bit of both. But it does have a hinge on it, and it does feel a little bit chintzy, but you have to disconnect it here, unclip it here, and then swing it over. And the hinge on this does feel very NECA-ish. And by NECA, I mean just yikes. The hinge on this feels very weak. Not a big fan of it, but he can also hold it like this. If you want to have him hold it like that, you can. Oh my God, this thing feels like it's about to fall apart. I swear, I'm not even joking. And this is a brand new figure too, so just something to note there as far as just handling this when you get this out. Not a big fan of that black hinge right there. So something to note that I don't really think a lot of other people noted. He also comes with this plume effect. So if you wanted to stand this up behind him, I think this was used in a lot of the Gomez's and stuff like that. I don't really care about any of the Gomez stuff, so we'll just use it for Batman. Why not? Poof, he just dropped like a smoke pellet or something, and now he's entering the room. Why not? Or disappearing from a room. So if you could do that if you wanted to, if he's meeting up with Gordon and he dropped a smoke bomb or something like that, or you could do whatever you want. You can have him kind of hide-a-hiding behind it. Hide-a-hide, and I just mean hide behind. When I say hide-a-hide. You can peekaboo Batman. Why not? You know, now you see me, now you don't. Now you see me, now you don't. Okay, anyway. But it does cover his whole body, which is pretty cool. So I like that. Next up, it does come with this arm right here. It is bendable. You can use this on the display stand, which is right here. I like this bat logo. Looks pretty cool. Looks like a little bit more of a modern feel to it. So I think it fits well with this. And I also think it fits pretty well with the symbol on his chest, because it's pretty much almost the same symbol, which is pretty nice. So you can pop this off. You can peg this right into where that hole would be. And then you can have him kind of flying in the air. In the air of the night. Sorry, I don't know what I'm doing. But you could have that pegged there, and you can have him flying if you want to use the cape, which is segueing into my next section. This cape right here comes in a little baggie. which is pretty cool. Get this baggie opened, and we can pop this cape on. This is the wired cape. I have never been a big fan of wired capes. I think they're just too bulky and big, and I don't know. I'm just not a big fan of it. I like the drape capes. That's all I need in my life is a drape cape. I can pose the cape if I need to. I mean, it's nice to have this as an option, especially if you're spending $100 on a figure. Or, you know, now this figure I think goes for like crazy prices, but like something like $200. Whoa, there goes the figure. Something like $200 or something like that. So just try to be mindful that you do need to have this piece kind of meeting and flattened out. Then you want to take the neck piece, and this is what I don't like. Okay, I don't like this because now we have a whole lot of gapping going on. Got a whole lot of gapping going on. Shake it, baby, shake it. Sorry. But as you can see, you can bend this wire in here, and there's a wire here. Let me check and see if there's a wire anywhere else. Yep, there's a wire over here in the middle of the cape. Another wire here, right there, and a wire here, and a wire here. So if you wanted to have this kind of flailing in the wind, you could do that whole flailing in the wind thing. I'll just try to give you full wingspan here. Just show you what I'm talking about. So if you want to have him kind of flying. So you want to just punch that through using this. That'll pop out, and then you can pop this on top of there like so. You can have this angled any which way you want. You can swivel the top of the head of that as well. And you can open each one, and this is tight as hell. There we go. Ooh, that is really tight. Tighter than some of the NECA ones, and the NECA ones are actually really nice, solid display stands, but we could probably have this bent a little bit. Let's see if we can get a nice little bend over here. Just be careful, this is clear plastic, and clear plastics just don't like to withstand the ravages of time, you know, if you know what I mean. But we can have him kind of flying through the air here. Let's see what we can do. We do something like this. We're just kicking down on somebody. This is not the best pose. I'm just trying to get a pose for you guys quick to show off the cape. But the cape will stay up. It will hold the pose that you need. So that's a good thing. I should probably have this kind of flowing upward more like that. That might look a little bit better, but you get my drift. If you work with it more, I'm just literally doing this in real time, so I think it looks pretty good. Nice wingspan for the cape as well. Nicely done. There's a bunch of different angles for you guys. There we go. And why not, right? So there you go. He's kind of diving in. Why not? So I don't know. It's a decent display stand. It's definitely not my favorite. I think the NECA ones are really good. I like those. Even the DC Collectibles ones are pretty good. I mean, this one's not bad. It definitely has a much taller. I mean, this is pretty damn tall right here. It can go way, 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 way up there. Okay, so next up we've got the hands that we'll talk about. We've got the two fist hands right here. And I'm just going to kind of go through the other hands as well. Next up, we've got this kind of pointing, gesturing finger. Kind of like, bring it on, bud. Or, you're number one. Or, hey, that one right there. Go get him, you know? But they're all sculpted with the same kind of like knuckle dusters right there. Sorry, I'm not focused here. The same kind of knuckle dusters right there. And I think it looks pretty good. Very pleased with that. So there's only one of these hands. Okay, next up, we've got a gripping hand. It looks a little bit more like a trigger hand. As you can see, that index finger right there is kind of poking out a little bit, but it is still kind of technically a gripping hand there, but looks good. Next up, we've got a kind of a gesturing hand, kind of like a flipping hand or a flipping hand. Or a grabbing hand. I guess you could put these hands on if you're trying to like choke out the Joker or Two-Face or somebody. So that looks pretty good there. Okay, next up we've got a just a kind of another gripping hand. It's a tighter gripping hand right there. And then last up we have technically another gripping hand, but there are spaces in between those fingers, and there is a reason for that. You can put the batarangs in between those fingers right there. So if you want to have him holding 2 batarangs in between his fingers, you could. Or if you wanted to just do this, he does have a sculpted batarang hand, or batarangs, where he could hold 3 that are kind of sculpted together right there. So there's 3 of those, and then they have 3 of the ones that I don't really care for, which are the thicker ones. So if you wanted to have him holding those, kind of like playing cards, you could. Okay, next up I'll just talk about the heads themselves. I really do like the sculpt of these heads. They are just so well done. They really bring out a older veteran Batman. So I really, really, really like that quite a bit. I love the sculpting of this kind of cowl. It just looks so damn good. You can see there's like little like Kevlar rivets in there. It just looks so good. You can tell that it's breathable while being flexible, while still being strong and protective. And you can see that this whole cowl covers like almost down part of his spinal cord and all that stuff. So even if someone, I feel like, were to take like a sword to this, I feel like it would just chip it away. You know, it feels thick, it looks great. Love it. I just love the musculature right here going into the sculpt for the cowl. It just, oh man, just love the sculpt. Mezco does such a good job with these head sculpts. But that is the short-eared version. I'm not sure what head I'm still going to go with him. So let's pop this one off and we'll get to the next one here. We'll go with the next short-eared version, which is the same type. He's just kind of got gritting teeth. I want to say that Mezco doesn't do a very good job with the gritting teeth. Most of the time they look like chipmunks. I'm not sure if they still got some work to do with that part of the their toy making, but I think this is one of the better gritting faced, angry faced, showing teeth sculpts. So if you still don't like it, I would say this is one of the better ones that we've got. All right, and moving on, we'll do the first long-eared version, which is he's kind of, I think he's supposed to be like gritting his teeth and he's angry, but it just comes off like he's smirking. So I don't know. I'm not a big fan of this head sculpt, to be honest with you. I think it looks a little demonic, like he's, I don't know, maybe you could have this Batman just liking breaking bones of people more, and you could maybe imagine that this is like Thomas Wayne or something like that, and he's just getting off on just killing people or something. But that's the gritting teeth head. And then the last head, which I'm really kind of going between this head and the short-eared head, but I almost think that the long ears works better for this look. I don't know, I'm just really digging the long ears from, this is from the head sculpt from the PX exclusive Supreme Knight. And I think he looks a little bit younger. So maybe this is like 50s Batman, where the regular release Supreme Knight with the shorter ears could be like 60-year-old Batman. So this is still a little bit younger Batman. Not too young, but younger than 60. But I like the sculpt on this. I like the differentiation in the ears for the cowl and the mask and everything. I think that looks really good. It kind of looks like almost like a shark fin, which looks pretty cool. But yeah, very cool. I love the pointiness of the nose in the sculpt of the face too. That looks fantastic. The white out eyes, just everything. It looks really good. And you can still see some age in like the chin and the cheeks a little bit, and just the way the mouth is sculpted. It's a little bit more frowny. You can tell this is more of a grizzled veteran. Next up, we've got the obligatory Mezco 112 bag here. This is actually a really nice feature. I actually hope they don't get rid of the bag. I am for the bags here. So if you do end up losing the packaging or something, or don't want to deal with the packaging, and you just want to kind of put everything in a nice tight, neat, excuse me, little package, you could put everything in here. You can label it if you want to. I don't really have any intention on selling any of these, so I don't really care. I mean, I could label this if I wanted to, but it's nice to have that option for the bags. Okay, next up we've got what they call I think this is like an equalizer cannon or something like that, technical term. It does have a little loophole right here for some sort of string to go through. So I guess if you wanted to maybe like have this stringed up on him somewhere, you could. I'm probably not going to do that, but I mean, the option's there if you want to. So, but it looks good. Let me just switch out his hands really quick and we'll just kind of get him gripping it. What I might do is I might pick a hand for this. Maybe this hand right here can go for that one. Or I guess I could go with the pointing finger. Not really a pointing finger hand, but I guess we could go with this for the trigger hand. And we could go with that. I think that works really well for this. I think this is kind of like the designated hand for for this gun, or I should say cannon. They try not to call it a gun, but they call it like a sonic equalizer or something like that. It looks heavy duty, definitely. So if you want to have him kind of pointing this like Dirty Harry. You ever seen the barrel of a 357 Magnum? You know, something like that. But yeah, it looks pretty cool. You could have him kind of holding it like this, kind of staring you down. Looks pretty cool. Let me put his hand back on so he doesn't look like a buffoon here. There we go. But I think it looks good. Looks pretty good, man. Looks pretty nice. It looks intimidating. It looks like it's gonna put you on your ass, you know. There you go with that. I think it looks nice. I think I really am digging this head sculpt quite a bit. I liked it. I really liked it on the PX, but I think it looks better on the Darkest Dawn edition. Yeah, it looks so good. All right, so next up we'll take this hand off and we'll put a kind of a gripping hand because we're going to do the grapnel gun. One of my favorite gadgets, if not my favorite gadget of Batman, is the grapnel gun. It's just, there's so many uses for it. Here is the kind of spread out version of it. So just before it fires off, it kind of opens up. Here is the closed version, and it just slides right in this hole right here. Just want to pop that in there, and there's the closed version. So yep, it definitely goes in this way. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm doing shit upside down. I don't know why. But you do want to make sure that that pegs in nice and taut right there. And then he's kind of got it really secured well on his back. I want to say this is one of the better ones. And as you can see, I'm shaking him. It's not coming out. Some of the other Batman kind of the holsters on the back for the, I want to say the Ascending Knight, they kind of pop off a little bit. But that one settles in there nicely. So that's pretty cool. Cool beans. And then we'll go ahead and pop this in a hand. And I'm going to go with the kind of looser. We'll go with this hand. I think this will work nice with it. Yeah. And that little bit of that finger opening on that other trigger finger really does help with going over. There's like a little bit of a bump for a trigger on that. And I think this is definitely the hand for that. So you want to go with this hand for the grapple. There's also this grapple piece right here. It does have a string on it. I'm not going to bother with it. And I find most collectors aren't going to bother with it. So it's almost like, why include it? I don't know. But it is there. It's a thing. It is there. You can do it if you want to. And it just pegs right in here. Same thing. I'm just going to kind of show off what it looks like if he's looking up. I do wish the head would look up just a little bit more. And it's deceiving because when the neck, the whole cowl piece moves up, because it's got a magnet on it, it makes it seem like it's trying to move up, but it doesn't. So that's about all you're getting as far as him kind of looking up and grappling up. There we go. Let's see if we can get this looking appropriately. Twist that. There we go. And that's him looking upward and about to grapple up. There we go. Looks good. Looks pretty good. Like I said, I do wish the head could look up a little bit more. I feel like for the price we're paying, we should be able to get a little bit better of a, instead of a ball joint in there, maybe just a hinge would be nice on the cowl. So, well, that's just me. But you can hold that. That looks great. Looks nice. Really having fun just kind of playing around with him, handling this figure. It's very well made figure. So, next up we do have, and I'll just keep that hand in there, we have this enormous Batarang. I mean, maybe you could have this one be the remote one. I don't know. Maybe you could have this being like the Sonic Batarang from like Arkham. Like they had the idea for the Sonic Batarang when you threw the Batarang, it landed, and then it would make a noise distracting people while you swooped in behind them and put them to sleep, you know, the hard way. But you could, I guess you could go with that if you wanted to. That might be what I go with. But I mean, he can hold it and it is huge. How it fits in this utility belt is beyond me. Maybe it folds up. There's always that, but that is a big Batarang. It's huge. And there it is next to his arm. So as you can see, it's quite large. Okay. All right, and last up that we'll do are the chest symbols. First, we'll do this one. This is my least favorite, so we'll go with that. We'll get this off, this piece. I'm not the biggest fan of the wide bat symbol. It just reminds me too much of the Dark Knight Returns and how much that gets shoves down our throat, that story. So I'm just gonna kind of go through this first. I'll try and move this neck piece back a little bit, but the even the wider one kind of gets in the way of the whole chest. It's kind of too busy. It's kind of just a bit too much is this chest symbol. I know probably a lot of people like the wider Batman symbol, but I don't know. I think it looks good on the regular release Sovereign Knight, but with the magnet involved, it doesn't want to settle. It takes up a lot of the chest space, and I don't know, just not a big fan of the wide Batman symbol. It still looks good. Don't get me wrong. I don't absolutely hate it. Just not, out of all the other bat symbols, I'm just not a big fan of it. But it does have some scrapes and blemishes on there, maybe from gunshots or something like that, seeing as the bat symbol on his chest is the hardest point of his armor. So there's always that to point out. So that's nice. And then next up, we have the yellow and black version, which, I mean, you could definitely go with this. So if you missed out on the Sovereign Knight PX, you could go with this for your Sovereign Knight PX, I guess. If you want to go with this, maybe a little bit younger head with the longer ears, which I like the longer ears. I've always been a longer ears guy. I'm not a big fan of the shorter ears. It might be a lot easier for him to maneuver with the shorter ears, but I just love the way longer ears look on the Batman figure. I don't know. Makes him look a little bit more menacing, a little bit more intimidating than these little baby ears he's got. He's just a little baby, you know. But I think it looks really good. I'm kind of torn because I do like this symbol, but seeing as, let me just bring him back in here. The PX already has this symbol, and it's the exact same symbol, and you can't remove it on the PX. I'm going to stick with the PX for him for this symbol, and then we'll switch this out. And I'm going to go with the regular, just black symbol, which we already had on the chest. But both look good. And if it was just a choice between this one or the thick one, I'd go with the yellow and the black one. But I'm going to go with this one for it. I think it kind of breaks up a lot of the yellow. It would be like too much yellow on there. It breaks up the mustard. It kind of makes the mustard look a little bit darker, you know? Just breaking up everything. Everything's not all black or all blue. I think it really looks nice, and it's proportionate with the chest. I think it looks really nice. So this is the bat symbol I'm going to use for him. I just think it looks the absolute best for this version. But yeah, I'm really, really digging this figure. More and more I handle it. It's just, I love it. Love the armored panels on him. It's really working for me, man. It's really working for me. Okay, next up is, can he do a kicking pose segment, or can he hold a pose segment? And he can. You know, it literally took me 5 seconds to get him to kick, where I kind of had to work with some of the articulated icons because they're loose joints. Really wasn't hard at all. I would, like I said, if you're going to get him into a kicking or splitting pose, just be mindful that this does have a seam in it. So just be mindful of that. But he gets pretty good extension right here. You could extend it even more. But like I said, just be mindful that you do have stitching going on throughout the bodysuit, okay? Okay, as far as size comparisons go with some of the other Mezco figures, here's the other Supreme Knight figures that I have. This is all the Supreme Knight figures I have. I don't have them all, but I have the ones that I wanted to get. And we've got the regular release right here, and we have the PX right here. And I think it's, like I said, a nice evolutionary thing right here. You can see that the PX is a little bit younger, doesn't have the knee pads yet. He still has this kind of older chest symbol right there. And then he's got a little bit of an evolutionary thing right here with some more armored paneling. And then we've got the Supreme Knight. This is probably at the end of his career, or at the twilight of his Batmaning career, you know. So I think it's a nice little evolutionary thing right there. Okay, next up for comparisons, we've got the Sovereign Knight right here, and then over here we've got the Ascending Knight. The Ascending Knight is, I gotta say, one of my favorites. I adore that first appearance look, and this is kind of Mezco's take on the first appearance look, so I love it even more because it's a little bit more modernized, even though it's a younger stage in Bruce's career as far as Batman. And I love the first appearance cowl. It's just my favorite of all time. It looks demonic. I love it. But the Sovereign Knight, it looks like Batman at his peak. It looks fantastic. And you've got some more evolution right here in the Batmaning as far as the, oh, there goes the dog hair. I just saw this dog hair randomly float down. But there's some more comparisons for you. Okay, next up we've got the couple NECA figures. These are the NECA movie Batman figures. We've got the Batman Begins on the right, the Christian Bale Batman. Still one of my favorite Batman suits. I love that suit. And my favorite suit, one of my favorite suits also, which is the '89 Batman from NECA. I just love this figure so much. It's still holds up. Okay, and next for comparisons, we've got two animated series figures from DC Collectibles. We've got the New Adventures of Batman on the left and the Batman the Animated Series on the right. Okay, and next up we've got two articulated icons figures. We've got Solitaire on the left and I think it was a Black Ninja on the right with some accessories on. But that's how he stacks up with articulated icons. I think the scale still works. A lot of people would be like, no, it doesn't work. But Batman's around 6'2". He's around 220, 230 pounds, give or take, depending on which version you're talking about. But this looks more like 6'2" and 245 Batman. He looks like a little bit thicker. So I think it could work. Ninjas are also supposed to be a little bit more lighter, smaller, and such. So I think it works. Okay, next up for comparisons, we've got the WWE Elite Survivor Series exclusive Bret Hart on the left, and then on the right we've got the Super 7 Raphael. And I think that as far as Raph goes, I think he scales pretty well with Batman. So I think it could work. Next up, we've got a DC multiverse party here. We've got Batman right on the left, and then we've got Thomas Wayne Flashpoint Batman on the right. Looks pretty good. I want to say that obviously these are out of scale for the Mezco figures, but I think with specific characters that McFarlane makes, if they're larger characters, it could work with the Mezco figures as well. So if they started doing maybe he'd start doing like Man-Bat or Clayface or, some of the larger characters, Solomon Grundy, stuff, characters like that, larger characters, it could work with the Mezco figures. Okay, and lastly, for a comparison, we've got two Mythic Legions here. On the left, we've got Otho. Love that figure. That's with he's got a custom cape on. It's just a cape I picked up from eBay. I don't know the seller or anything like that. I'm sure someone will ask me that, but no, I'm not sure. Just scour through eBay custom capes for Mythic Legion. I'm sure it'll pop up. But on the right, we've got the man, the myth, the legend, the Sir Gideon Heavensbrand. He is back, back with a vengeance. Is Sir Gideon Heavensbrand. And I love that figure. But he also has a custom cape that I picked up from eBay as well. And yeah, that's pretty much it as far as how he stacks up with Mythic Legions. I actually think he stacks up pretty well because they are wearing armor, and that would boost you up a little bit. But I think he's, as far as shoulders go, he's pretty close and on point as far as that goes. Okay, so for my final thoughts on the Mezco exclusive Darkest Dawn Batman, I gotta give this a 2 thumbs up. I really like this figure. A lot of people are not gonna like the gray and blue versions. I feel like that's a little bit more of a niche crowd, but I don't discriminate. I like both versions. I like gray and black, gray and blue. I don't care. Even the rebirth with the yellow bat symbol on the chest, I like that too. But that's just me. I don't know. I really like this figure. I think even more than the PX, and I've had the PX a little bit while longer than this guy. And I just like the knee pads, the boots, the sculpting. It's very similar between the PX and the Darkest Dawn edition, but I feel like there's so much more you can do with this figure than the PX. I think that's really nice. I'm kind of not comparing it really to the regular release, just because I feel like the regular release is it's so well done. It's so perfect as far as like the oldest version of Batman that we could possibly get. I just think that it's between the PX and this one. I would definitely spend a little bit extra money and get this one. If you can get it for regular retail, what it came out with, I think that's a pretty solid price as far as Mezcos go. I know the secondary market is just stupid for these figures, and they go for like, I think this one goes for like anywhere from 150 to 200. So it's just silly. It does come with the most accessories out of any of the Supreme Knights. You do have the interchangeability of the chest symbols, which is really nice. You do have the 5 heads total, and you also have the unmasked head, which is right here. And it does look really nice. Don't get me wrong. I'm probably not going to have him with this. Maybe I'll find like a thicker suited body or something like that, or maybe like a I don't know, Batman with a wife beater on or something. I'm just kidding, but I just get that old man look. But the sculpt on the older head looks really well done. Very pleased with it, and it's very consistent throughout all the other cowl head sculpts. So you can really see, just if I covered up the eyes here, you could really see just the old madness of the rest kind of consistent throughout. And I really like that quite a bit. But this is definitely my favorite head sculpt, I think, out of all the Supreme Knights. The short-eared one is still really good too. I just kind of prefer the longer ears. So that's just with me. The cape, both capes are really good. And I'm not a big fan of wired capes, but I think it still has a purpose. It definitely does serve a really good purpose, especially for those kind of really cool dynamic poses that you can accomplish with this figure, even though it still is wearing a cloth suit. I love the sculpted, where sculpted detail is on this is superb. 100% superb. It is pretty much unmatchable as far as any other Mezco goes. I don't know. I think it's really well done where it's done. The line work is perfect. There's no paint slop anywhere. You don't have to worry about any of that. It's very consistent throughout. I really love the armored paneling going throughout this figure. And I know a lot of people don't like it, but I think it really does work for this figure. The body underneath this is stellar. It holds poses, it looks good, it feels good to articulate. I don't feel like I'm gonna snap something off or something's gonna break off or something like that. It just feels really quality. And I'm not being biased here just because I want to like the figure, but I find myself liking the figure even more and having more and more fun just kind of getting him into simplistic poses than I do some crazy, awesome dynamic pose, just because any way I pose him, he's going to look good. He's going to feel good doing it. And yeah, I'm just having a lot of fun. I'm having a blast with these Mezco Batmans. I'm just really enjoying them more than I thought I was going to. I think what happened with me and Mezco kind of happened when it came to the first edition. It felt a little bit cheaper, but I have to say, and let me just raise my camera up, I have to say that they've definitely improved since the Dark Knight Returns figure. I still enjoy that figure, but it just seemed a little bit on the cheaper side, and even some of the cloth on it felt cheap. But this does not feel cheap in any way. This feels like nice, durable, good quality, solid cloth that they worked with, and even the armored paneling, where I could see that peeling over time and wearing out, and even especially with the magnets on the chest, that's going to try and wear right through this this armor paneling. But I think it has decent longevity. I think it works, and I'm having a lot of fun with this figure. I like the cape. Like I said, the choice for this kind of like faux leather kind of cape, like it's a lot more durable. Maybe it's like flame retardant or flame proof or something like that. Yeah, absolutely fantastic across the board. I don't think I really find myself saying I don't like anything about it. I even like the little blue plume, smoke plume that they added in with it from the Gomez figure. I like the blues on it, nice blue paint shading going throughout with a little bit of white on it too. It just looks really good. Everything is coming along very nicely, I think, as far as presentation goes for the figure. Overall, like I said, I would recommend the figure. It's a solid, good quality figure. So, but that's pretty much it for me. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Thank you for watching as always, and I'll see you guys on the flip side.